Donald Trump lost the state of Arizona in 2020. Now top Republicans in that state's most populous county are blasting other Republicans in that state for peddling conspiracy theories with a bizarre and doomed phony audit of Trump's loss. They're also denouncing the, quote, insane lies fueled by right-wing con artists.
People's ballots and money are not make-believe. It's time to be done with this craziness and get on with our county's critical business.
I supported an audit. I supported cooperating with the Senate. What I didn't support is a mockery. And that's what this has become.
You are looking at actual on-the-ground footage there in Maricopa County by Republican officials slamming Republicans in their state who are doing Trump's bidding or a Trump conspiracy theory that got even out of control for them. What they did, as you may have heard about a little bit, but it's so absurd we haven't covered it a ton, is try to create a fake review that is not legally or politically binding. As we all know, the election's over, the new candidate's sworn in, etc. It's also a grift. Arizona taxpayers have now had to pay $150,000 to a group called Cyber Ninjas. Yes, Cyber Ninjas, for their fake, non-binding fantasy football audit. There's also additional funding that somebody put up, and that's still shrouded in mystery, which is not okay in a democracy for anything that's going to affect the legitimacy of who takes over power. This is, of course, to appease the Florida blogger. And he made a career, many of his critics say, out of petty grift and turning lies into media. Now, this is not just about Arizona. There are other ways that the same kind of conspiracy theories are feeding not only audits like this, which is basically a waste of time and money. It's not actually any kind of threat to the future in a direct sense. There's also Republicans passing these new voter restrictions we've been covering. In Georgia, there's also an autopsy of the election that doesn't even deal with the fact that Trump lost the state. It also blames, quote, an electoral system rendered defenseless, like some sort of force came in and created a loss that was in a traditionally red state where there was a lot of time after the election for everyone to take in the fact that the Senate was riding on that traditionally red state, and those voters handed the keys to anyone but Trump and his party. So for all of the context here, we want to go a little deeper than usual, and that brings us to a special conversation we have on a special day here. We call it Che Day. You know the vibe. You see the cartoon. It's, of course, an homage to our friend and political strategist, Che Komanduri, a veteran of 3 presidential campaigns and several episodes of The Beat. Good to have you back, sir.
Nice to see you, Ari. How are you?
I'm good, Che. We feel this topic is right for you because it does involve ridiculous plot lines and fantasy, and you are both a political historian and a film buff. And yet, unlike a good movie with twists and turns, the plot's internally inconsistent. The results, some of them could be really real-world damaging. What are we to think of how out of control the fake grift audit has gotten in Arizona?
Well, I know that we view this as very odd and a very strange strategy. In my opinion, it's actually a very coherent strategy. What the GOP understands is this is all about the midterm elections. And they feel that the only thing that can derail them in the midterms is if Trump voters do not show up at the polls, which means first and foremost, they must please the main person in Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump. They have to make sure that he's happy with what they are doing, with their efforts on his behalf, which includes ousting Liz Cheney, which includes that recount in Arizona, which includes all those efforts in Georgia. They have to make sure that he is happy so that he turns out in 2022 those Trump voters that they need to win the midterms. And the reality is mathematically.
So, Che, you're formulating a kind of a modern GOP. We've all heard happy wife, happy life. You're sort of saying happy blogger, happy base.
Correct. Yes. It's one blogger that they have to please so that they can turn out their base in 2022. And mathematically, it kind of makes sense. Think about the fact that the GOP only needs to win 5 seats. They currently have Republican legislators in Texas, Florida, and North Carolina that are drawing up precisely those 5 seats in their favor. They have history at their back. They have the fact that Biden would have to be historically very, very popular, maintaining this current level by November 2022 and a high Democratic turnout, that is very unlikely historically. In addition, they are doing things across many states to suppress the vote, to change the demographics and turnout of the electorate to favor them. So this is all looking very, very good for them in the midterm. The only thing that could derail it is what happened in Georgia for the Senate election, which is that Trump voters do not turn out. It is very important for Speaker McCarthy to make sure that his road to the speakership runs through Mar-a-Lago, that Donald Trump is happy, that he comes out, campaigns in the fall of 2022, tells Trump people to turn out for Republicans. That is the only thing that in their minds can derail their success a year and a half from now.